Hello, everybody. We'll start the webinar in about a minute. We're going to give everybody a chance to get in. Okay, we'll start the webinar in 1 minute as soon as everyone gets in. And panelists, remember to mute yourself if you're not talking. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on the Florida Elder Legal Risk Detector. I'm Kathy Grunwald at Legal Services of North Florida, and thank you for joining us today. Before we get started with our first presenter, we've got a few housekeeping details. If you have questions, please type them in the Q&A tab in your webinar taskbar. The presenters will answer your questions during the webinar and at the end, time permitting. This webinar is being recorded, and we'll email you the link to the recording and the material, including the PowerPoint, later. Also, you're going to receive a request to complete a short survey on the webinar, and we hope you'll take the time to do that. Thank you again for joining today. And with that, we're going to pivot to our first presenter, Paul Floundlacker.
Thank you, Kathy. And thanks to everybody that is joining us today. We're very excited to have you. We're really excited to tell you more about this important tool that we hope after seeing this, you know about it. It's gonna be another tool in your toolbox, and so what we're talking about today is Florida's Elder Law Risk Detector. And my name is Paul Floundlacker. I'm a project attorney. I work for Legal Services in North Florida, and I am the project attorney for the Florida Legal Aid Enhancement Project. And this presentation was, for the most part, created by Sarah Halsell. Sarah is also a panelist today. Hello, Sarah. And Sarah is with Florida Department of Elder Affairs. She's the legal services developer. And the most important thing that we hope you leave today with is what Legal Services in North Florida can do for you, okay? We have a tool that we hope is going to generate referrals. And it's a very simple tool, very easy to use. Takes a little time, but we think that the time is going to be worth it for your clients, especially for those that they're not able to do this on their own. And that's the people that we're trying to target, because simply because they're not able doesn't mean they don't need it. And so that's the whole idea behind the Legal Risk Detector. And Legal Services in North Florida is a medium-sized law firm. We're located in the Northwest Florida, and we cover counties from Jefferson to Escambia. And we typically provide representation to low-income and vulnerable individuals in civil matters. And as I said, the Florida Legal Aid Enhancement Project is designed to generate referrals, okay? And so our objectives today is to learn what is the risk detector, where to access it, and how to use it. And then you're going to learn how Legal Services in North Florida can help your clients by using the risk detector. And you're going to learn how access to legal services for your most vulnerable clients will be hopefully enhanced by using the risk detector. And I've been here from the beginning of the project. My paralegal, Ayanna Powell, was here before I was, and she's very involved in this grant. And so, Ayanna, if you would please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the Florida Legal Aid Enhancement Project.
Sure thing. Thank you, Paul. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ayanna Powell, and I'm happy to share some information about the Florida Legal Aid Enhancement Project with you today. Thank you for being here. The goal of our project really is to provide legal access for seniors. It was developed to give a replicable model, statewide model, in order to help seniors who are recovering from disasters, who may be homeless or facing homelessness, and as well as those seniors who have been victims of consumer crimes, domestic violence, and things like that. We've worked with several different case types, which to help our seniors, which you will hear more about it today. And we also use outreach as well as the risk detector tool in order to provide that access. So I'm looking forward to you learning more about it and figuring out how exactly you will be able to help with that referral process and give the seniors of our community what they need. And I'll send that right back to you, Paul.
Hey, thank you, Ayanna, very much. And one of the key components to this grant is assisting vulnerable adults who have been affected by a disaster. Of course, in Northwest Florida, we typically think of storms, hurricanes, and so forth. But we've also learned that COVID-19 has effectively been a disaster for a lot of the senior citizens. And also one of our panelists today is Judy Naylor. Judy's been a longtime paralegal with Legal Services in North Florida, and she's done a lot of work with outreach and also with helping seniors overcome the issues associated with disasters. And Judy, if you would please introduce yourself and then just tell us a little bit about what you do. And you're on mute, Judy.
Thank you, Paul. And good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Judy Naylor. I've been with Legal Services as a community outreach person, a paralegal, working specifically in disaster initially after Hurricane Ivan. We were involved in long-term recovery efforts for quite a while after Ivan and the other hurricanes during that season. And we learned, quite frankly, up close and personal, that seniors are very vulnerable after a disaster. And of course, since that time, our community has seen many disasters: BP oil spill, tornadoes, flooding, to name just a few. And here we are, as Paul mentioned today, facing a pandemic and now yet recovering from Hurricane Sally as well. So how have we helped after disaster as a legal service program? Well, we've helped with title clearing for property issues, landlord-tenant, consumer fraud, FEMA issues, private homeowners insurance issues, and even code enforcement issues. A brief example of some of the hurdles that COVID-19 has brought about is a recent client that came to us this year just prior to the stay-at-home order. She lost her Social Security widow's benefits, and for some reason, even today, we're not sure why. Immediately, we met with her. We called Social Security together with her, requesting an appeal and a reconsideration of their decision. And because of COVID-19, there were special hurdles. She couldn't go to a local Social Security office. She couldn't provide any requested information to them locally. But over the course of many months, she and I made multiple conference calls to Social Security. And after 8 months, her benefits were reinstated fully. And she was actually paid $5,300 for the benefits that were withheld during those many months. But can you imagine what she must have felt like being 79 years old and finding out that her monthly income was terminated? So this was a happy outcome for us and very rewarding as well. And we appreciate working with our seniors very much. So thank you for being here, and I appreciate all that you are doing for our community as well.
we're very excited with the participants today in this program. A big component of what we're doing under this grant is outreach, and that is consultations, trainings and presentations, and technical assistance sessions. We've got a technical assistance session coming up on December the 8th. Right now, we're planning on talking about the injunction process when you have a suspicion to believe that a vulnerable adult is being financially exploited. In the past, what would happen is the process was a little too time consuming, and by the time that or you were able to put into place any protections, all the things that you were seeking to protect had been stolen. And so we're planning on talking about that process. And what that's going to look like is it's just going to be a 1-hour Microsoft Teams meeting, and you'll be able to call in and just participate in the conversation. We'll have materials that'll be available. You'll have templates that you can use for filing the injunction, and we do think it'll be a meaningful thing. The plan is that we're going to do this once a month. We're going to have a technical assistance session once a month. And so I would ask that you guys give it some thought as to what you would like to hear us provide technical assistance on, and you'll have the opportunity to provide that feedback. And so a big part of, like I said, what we're doing here is outreach. We're going to have consultations, and what that is we're going to have an open phone line with a conference call where here again, it'll be set for a specific time each month, and it will be a 1-hour time frame. And it's going to be a little looser. We're not necessarily going to be covering any specific topics, but you can call in and speak with an attorney or paralegal about a question that you might have. I promise you, we won't have all the answers, but we're good at finding the answers, and that's what we'll do. If we can't answer it for you, we'll get you the information. And then trainings like what we're doing right now, the legal risk detector. Okay, all right. So what does it look like when a person gets referred to legal services in North Florida, and what are the critical legal needs that the risk detector is designed to address? We've covered the disaster legal assistance, and that's just simply accessing services. You got contractor cases. Most of the time, contractors, especially if they're legit and they're here and they've been here for a while, they're saviors, for people that have experienced a disaster. Sometimes not so much though. And one of the things that we see a lot of after disasters is the predatory assignment of benefits. This is just an example of some of the types of cases that we've been involved with in the last year since I've been here. There's a lot of housing issues. Since I've been here, I've done quite a few foreclosure defenses, whether it's a conventional mortgage or reverse mortgage. You see the senior citizens getting a lot of trouble with these reverse mortgages, not realizing that their property taxes are going to go up or their insurance costs are going to go up. And they've just not set aside the amount that's required in order to maintain a house, actually. And if they don't pay their taxes, if they don't take care of the house, if they don't keep the property insured, then they're going to get foreclosed on. And what we see happen is that the folks that have been so good at taking care of these things throughout the years, as they get older, you lose that skill. And so we've been able to step in often and help out in those situations. Another big component of what we're trying to address are issues of abuse and neglect. With the seniors, it's usually family members. It's usually domestic violence. It might be a spouse. Dementia. You see a lot of abuse that starts to develop when someone starts giving into the failings of dementia. And then, of course, as people get older, they're not as able to take care of themselves, and then they fall victims to the financial exploitation. And then consumer scams, predatory lending, those are also some of the issues that the grant is designed to address. Okay. So in 2020, we opened up 118 cases. And, you know, you can see the biggest one is housing. And surprisingly, you know, landlord and tenant has kind of been at a standstill. So there's not been as many of these as we would have seen had it not been for the moratoriums. This is going to increase dramatically. Okay. Foreclosure defenses will as well. You can see we got healthcare is part of what we're trying to address. Social Security, supplemental security income and Social Security disability income are two things. We also are helping people get qualified for Medicaid. You know, people during this time, they really rely upon those benefits that they were receiving prior to the pandemic, and now that they've lost their job, they're more important than ever. And so an interruption of services that someone's eligible for can have a dramatic effect on everything about their lives. Some of the other things that we're seeing, you see some collection actions, you see garnishment. It's amazing what these collection law firms and collection companies will go after. They will go after what they obviously must know is exempt income. They will pursue a judgment whether they know they're going to prevail or not. Because a lot of times, if an attorney doesn't get involved, then they're dealing with someone that doesn't know what the rights are. And if they're older, the last thing they want to have is an unpaid bill, and so this can really mess them up. And so we've been real effective in helping people, because there's a lot of exempt income, and so we at Legal Services in North Florida have provided services in bankruptcy. That's a very intense area of practice, and it requires a lot of resources. We do it sparingly, but we do it if necessary. So with regards to home and community-based care waivers, what we've learned is that if a person can stay home and they've got adequate support, then that typically is going to be a better situation than having to go to a nursing home. But if they do have to go to a nursing home, then we can also help protect their rights there. Someone in a nursing home has got more rights than anybody in the world, and yet they are often treated the worst. And so we know what their rights are, and if they're being mistreated, or if they're facing a critical legal need, we can step in and help them out. Domestic violence injunctions are a big part of what we do. Like I mentioned earlier, we do the domestic violence exploitation. I'm sorry, the financial exploitation injunctions. Some crazy Facebook and email romances. And that's the consumer scam. That's just the financial exploitation. People become very, very susceptible to this, especially when they're isolated and they're by themselves. And it's crazy, but there are times when they know what's happening, and it's better than the loneliness. And so they continue with it, knowing that they're just being victimized. But anyway, it's an amazing phenomenon. All right, so what is the elder law risk detector? And I'm going to ask Sarah Halsell to talk a little bit about that. She's been very involved in getting this thing up and running in the state. Sarah, thank you for being here today. Can you give us a little bit of information about the elder law risk detector?
Sure. Thanks, Paul, for having me. Again, I'm Sarah Halsell. I'm with the Florida Department of Elder Affairs, and I serve as the state legal services developer. And so what I really work a lot on is building capacity within our statewide legal services delivery system to serve seniors, and particularly vulnerable seniors. And access is a big part of what we all need to be thinking about, and a philosophy that drives the idea of access is no wrong door. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the elder law risk detector, and then turn it back over to Paul. But again, I think fundamentally what the elder law risk detector is an outreach tool, and it helps us serve seniors no matter where they are, going to where they actually are, which is sometimes at home, in rural communities, you know, like Paul just said, living in long-term care facilities. We don't want our legal programs around the state to be first come, first serve. So the people who manage to find their way to legal services, you know, and figure out how to apply for services, that's great. And we want to make sure that seniors who are able to kind of navigate a delivery system on their own and access legal services on their own are able to do that. But I think we all have to recognize as advocates and service providers that there are a lot of seniors who don't do that well. They are overwhelmed with the amount of resources they have to navigate through. Maybe they are homebound and can't get to legal services. Maybe it is that they don't know that there's free legal services available to them. And yet they have people in their lives, a lot of you, who are service providers, caregivers, advocates, who are with them. And so we want seniors who wouldn't otherwise find the door of legal services, who may not even know that the problem they have is legal, to be able to get help. And the elder law risk detector is an outreach tool that does just that. And so it is a web-based tool. It kind of serves in two capacities. One is it can be a legal health checkup tool. And so, for instance, at an outreach fair, and I know we're not doing a lot of that these days, but at an outreach fair, you could imagine as a outreach provider setting up a hotspot and having a computer and doing a legal health checkup and helping to identify needs. Maybe the senior is doing really well and doesn't have any legal concerns, or maybe they have concerns that are legal in nature that they don't even realize they could get help from an attorney for. And so it can serve as a checkup tool to identify needs, hidden needs even, and get them to legal services. It can also serve as an intervention type of tool. So if you're a case manager, for example, and you're in the home of a senior who needs assistance, and you're in a position to identify a legal need in their life, maybe you don't know exactly how to do that. Well, the elder law risk detector is a guided interview. It helps you by providing you a script to go over with the senior, and Paul's going to walk you through all of that. But it makes it easy for you to help them, and to help them in a meaningful way, not to just give out a phone number when, again, that might be really overwhelming. That might be a great way for some people to get to legal services, but it may not be the best way for really vulnerable people who need a little bit more hand-holding. And so I'm excited for Paul to show you the elder law risk detector today. Again, it's web-based. There's no need to download any kind of software or an application. You can do this interview with your clients over the phone, even if you know, a lot of us are doing our work by phone right now. You can do this by phone. You can also do it in community settings or in home settings. And it currently screens for some of those broad areas of need that Paul went over. And these are vulnerabilities related to housing and healthcare, consumer abuse, and financial exploitation. And so it's meeting people where they're at, and kind of a no wrong door philosophy. So if a senior is coming to you as a local service provider for help, we want to empower you to be able to help that senior and get them where they need to be. So I'll be here for the length of the presentation and happy to answer any additional questions.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, and so let me see. Why is my button not working? That's interesting. All right, so how can the legal risk detector help? All right, and you heard outreach and you heard intervention. And outreach is a huge part of the grant under which the legal risk detector is a component, okay? And so, you know, there was a before we received the grant, and as a result of having received the grant, or as a result of it helped with the grant, there was a big study that was done, and it showed gaps. It showed gaps, and I think what they've really discovered is that while you can take the legal risk detector, you can take these tools and you can help kind of plug in the gap. The most important way to plug a gap is to establish a relationship, okay? Where you have someone like me, an attorney that is trying to help someone on a legal foundation, who connects with a caseworker who has just as much desire to help someone, probably more so. And when the two of us come together, then the likelihood of the client getting a good result, I think, is increased exponentially. It is, because now you're working with two minds, you're working with two sets of knowledge, you're working with, you know things I don't know about, I know things you don't know about, and together we can get the whole job done. And so that's really probably the biggest part of what we'd like to see happen here. Okay, we'd love for you guys to start using the legal risk detector. It's simple. Okay, it's an online intake process. It's a website. You guys, all you need is an iPhone. Okay, but here again, what we're trying to do is we want to empower social workers, nurses, other professionals to issue spot legal needs, and then give them an easy way to get a referral. Sarah talked about no wrong door. I love that catchphrase. Here's another one, a warm handoff. Okay, so that's what you're going to be getting as a result of a referral through the legal risk detector. It's a warm handoff, and it's going to result in timely legal assistance. Okay, and just as an example, this weekend I'm sitting on the sofa and my phone dings, and lo and behold, I get my very first legal risk detector referral. And I was able to contact the person almost immediately and just talk with them a little bit and gave them a little bit of advice. Basically gave them some assurances that what they were doing was exactly what they needed to be doing, that they weren't doing anything wrong. And it was as simple as that. And a lot of our stuff's that simple, but boy, it goes a long ways. It goes a long ways when there's so many questions out there and you just really need an answer. You need someone to talk to that can help you understand that. Okay. All right. So here's the list of the usual suspects, is what we'll call them. Take a look at this list. Are you on this list? Okay. Are you not on this list? If you're not, then I'm really excited about that, because now we're obviously appealing to even more than what we thought might be interested. But these are who we. Yes.
Oh, you've got one question, and it's, are you able to use the risk detector for screening regardless of the location of the senior?
That's a good question. Well, we're a Florida law firm, okay? And so in this state, the answer is yes. If they're located in Florida, we're going to be providing legal advice in Florida. We've probably got some Alabama attorneys or maybe some Georgia attorneys or attorneys that are admitted in other states. But what we do is we practice Florida law. And so that's what we're going to be giving, is Florida advice. And so it's a statewide program. And Sarah's been the one that has rolled this out and is making it work. She's trained all over the state on this. You saw our one of the original slides, and it shows that we're in a 16 county area. Okay. So if the call comes in to someone that lives in this area, it can be, they could be in Switzerland, but if their issue is a Florida issue, then we can talk to them. We can give them some advice. Okay. But so How does it work? Okay, well, I'm glad you asked, because what we'd like to do is we'd like to show you where you can find it. We promised to do that, and we're making good on that promise. So you go to floridaelderlaw.org, okay? And this is the screen that'll pop up, all right? And so let's take it for a test run, okay? So what I'm going to do is I can actually access this, and I'm going to click on it and then share my screen again, and hopefully this will work. Takes just a moment.
And Paul, while it's loading, if I could just interject a little bit about it being a statewide service. There are a lot of legal services providers throughout Florida that receive referrals to the risk detector. So we're rolling it out to be statewide, and it should be hopefully by the end of this year. But it's in most of our counties at this point. If you list a county that's not in legal services of North Florida's service area, it will tell you which legal provider will receive the referral. So for example, in Hillsborough County, it will go to Bay Area Legal Services. In Alachua County, it will go to Three Rivers Legal Services. So it's really, like Paul said, a statewide service. And it's based on it. We have a lot of different legal partners who are receiving referrals through it.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
All right. Kathy, can you see my screen?
No.
All right, so let me figure this out.
No, we're seeing your PowerPoint.
All right, let's see what we can do. How about a new share? New share. There we go.
There you go.
All righty. So this is where you'll end up when you go to floridaelderlaw.org, and you'll get a drop-down box. And let's just go ahead and choose advocate. All right, hit get started. And hit it again. And then it takes you down here to Elder Law Legal Risk Detector. So view risk detector. Okay. And begin interview with client. All right, so one of the first things that'll pop up is the disclaimer. Unless you're an attorney, you'll have to give this disclaimer. You let them know that you're not an attorney, you're not giving legal advice. All you're doing is you're getting information from them, and then that information, with their permission, will be provided to an attorney. Okay. And so one of the things that is nice about a caseworker who's going to be doing this is that they'll probably have all this information. So they'll be able to go in and input this information pretty quickly based upon what they've already got in their records. Okay. And this is just a test run. And we're going to do the expressed risk assessment. Okay. You can do the standard, which takes about 20 minutes, or you can do the express, which probably takes about 10 minutes. All right. And so you begin the risk assessment. All right. And here again, you got to put in the information. And as you can see, one of the most important things that you can give us is the good ability to contact. So we need good contact information. And we'll work with people that, like to use texts if need, give us their email, their address, and you will have to select your county. So we're going to just select Escambia County, and then you need to go through. And another thing that you're going to have to put in is their income. Okay, so let's go with $1,200. All right, hit next. You don't put those two pieces of information in there, it's just not going to let you continue. All right, so you have express risk assessment. And so there's one of 6 categories. The first one is housing, okay? And so you're asking them, so, Ms. Smith, are you having problems paying your rent? She says, oh, yes, I am. And so we'll just go ahead and we'll click that, all right? And then any supporting information, lost job due to COVID-19. All right. And then my client would like general information. Well, what is it they're looking for? They want just general information, okay? Or they need assistance to address a problem, or is there an urgent situation going on? Here, we'll just leave it as general information. And then consumer debt or other income issues, if there's something going on there, you can click the box as well. And you can use your own descriptions, but this will get you pretty close to at least the area law that we need to be knowing we're dealing with. So anyway, you can see there's a variety of things to address. Sarah, did you have something to add? You didn't, did you? No. Okay. I thought you might have. All right. And here again, we've got, let's just say I have a debt collector calling me. All right. And we'll just leave it at that. Financial exploitation. I signed the power of attorney and I want to cancel it. Healthcare concerns. I cannot afford my prescription medications. All right. And regarding safety abuse, I do not feel safe at home. All right. And then urgently needs help. Okay. Now, in addition to any problems you've indicated above, do you have any other concerns? So that just kind of rounds it out. And then you hit your next button. All right. And then what you'll see is you've got some risk flags that pop up as a result. And so this person needs to talk to an attorney, and more than likely. And then you'll just ask them, are you satisfied with the information that you provided us? And if they are, then you continue. And then you let them know, I'd like to provide this to Legal Services in North Florida, or to Florida Legal Senior Helpline. And they will get a report. And once they've gotten that report, they'll give you a call back. And so this doesn't guarantee that they're going to accept your case, but it does guarantee that you'll get a phone call back. And so then you ask, do I have your permission? And if they say yes, then you're ready to go. And you click the button. Now, how simple is that? All right. And you're going to get a warm handoff. This is going to come right now. It comes to me. And that's because enough folks aren't using it. We want a lot more people using this thing. And once that happens, then obviously it'll probably be channeled through an intake specialist. But the bottom line is that they're going to get a phone call back within 2 days. And the idea is that it will be the attorney calling them back to get more information, do a more in-depth interview. And then if they've looked at it and they said, there's no doubt in my mind that the person's probably qualified, they'll send them through a full intake, and there'll be other issues that they'll have to qualify for, perhaps. But here again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to shine a light, okay, in an area of need that hasn't really been as illuminated as it needs to be, okay? And so that's what we're trying to accomplish here. This is the report, all right? You guys will get a copy of that report. And so here again, not only is this generating a referral, but hopefully it is also creating a connection. It's creating a connection between the caseworker and a paralegal here at Legal Services of North Florida, or an attorney here at Legal Services of North Florida. Before I came here, I've been practicing law for a long time, but it's been a while since I've specifically practiced in public service areas. And one of the things that I like about practicing with Legal Services, probably more than, I've never had this much fun practicing law, and I've practiced law for going on 26 years, is the collegiality that you get, when you got folks that are looking to help people. They're also willing to help other people that are looking to help people. That's what I have found. That's what's really cool about this job. And so, all right, so I'm going to get out of Risk Detector, and hopefully.
While we transition, Paul, we do have a couple of questions in the Q&A.
All right, let me get the presentation back up on the screen, and all right. There we go. How's that? All right. Or am I sharing my presentation again?
It is shared, yes. It isn't in full screen mode that yet, though.
All right, so we need it in full screen mode. Yeah, so that's,
Right there,
pardon me.
right where you were.
Okay, display settings.
There you go.
I think that might be, let's look and see.
There we go.
All
Excellent.
right. Okay, so y'all seen it. It's so simple. It really is. It's like an online intake, okay? And if you had a client that was computer savvy and they knew their way around the internet, then this probably isn't the right tool for them, okay? This is really for people that don't know how to use the internet very well. They might not have this technology. And you'd rather not have to take up the time to make a phone call, because that's what normally would happen. We know that's what you would do in the past, is you just make a phone call. And so, you know, this is a new delivery model, and we think it's easier. We think it's going to generate more referrals. We really hope that you guys will try it. And so talked a little bit about what happens after we receive the report. And like I said, we're going to take a look at it, make sure it covers the areas that the grant is specific to, and then we'll give them a call back. We'll talk with them. Hopefully, we'll be able to solve their problem with a single phone call. If not, then we might have to give more extensive services. But nevertheless, it's free. And they get to talk to an attorney, and they get to talk to one quickly. And I think that's the real beauty of it, because right now, if you're going through the normal process, it might be 5, 6, 7 days before you get a call back. This way, you get the information you need more quickly. Okay, and so ultimately, like I mentioned, there'll be a full-blown intake that's done. And so, all right. So the things that I just point out is that it's going to be a guided interview. You're going to share the report with us. One of the things you got to understand is this is not take the place of you having to call the abuse hotline in the event that while you're doing your interview, you discover that there's a reason to call the abuse hotline, okay? My suspicion is that most of the people that are attending today are mandatory reporters. They know about the abuse hotline. They know when they're required to report. If you are doing the interview and you find out that something's happened that requires a call to the abuse hotline, this is not going to replace that. We're not going to be calling the abuse hotline, or we shouldn't have to, upon the receipt of one of these reports. That call should be made by you immediately upon a reasonable suspicion that abuse or neglect or exploitation has occurred. You're a mandatory reporter, you got to do it. Okay. So, what happens if they need quicker response than 2-day turnaround? So, situation might be, what happens if they've been served with a complaint for an eviction and they've not replied and it's the last day for them to reply. Okay, they might need to call that day. All right, if that's the case, it's better to pick up the phone and call us, because we have procedures in place already for addressing that. And so if you, like I said, Sarah's done some amazing work here. She's created a lot of material about the legal risk detector. If you go on the website, I'm pretty sure that you'll find the frequently asked questions about the risk detector. I think there's that material there. And also at the end of, after you have made your report, you'll get a survey, and that survey will basically ask for information about your experience using the risk detector. And the idea behind that is that right now it is what it is, but that can change based upon the information that we receive from those that are using it. Okay, and so let's see. Sarah, there's a slide in here about the data storage. Do you feel a need to talk a little bit about that?
No, I just like to make everyone aware that if you have specific questions relevant to data storage and software, et cetera, we don't like to get into that on these presentations just because it can be kind of time consuming and not everyone wants to know, but we can answer your questions. And I do have an FAQ document I can send you. So make note of my email address and shoot me an email if you have any specific questions about the risk detector and specifically with respect to data storage.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, so we've kind of covered this already. And yeah, another thing is that, if there's a legal or a criminal issue that's occurring, here again, you guys, this report's not going to be provided to law enforcement. And, you should be making that call. This is for civil legal matters. And it is for the 5 areas that we've talked about. Okay, so you've got Ms. Halsel's contact information. All right, so a little bit more about Legal Services of North Florida. Now, just the 5 areas that we talk about, they encompass a huge area of law. We've talked about recovery from disasters. We've got attorneys here at Legal Services of North Florida, and that's pretty much all they do is respond to legal issues relating to disasters. We have attorneys that deal with denial of health benefits. Ayana is very involved in an advanced directive clinic, and in that clinic you can get a simple will, you can get a durable power of attorney, you can get the living will, you can get the healthcare designate or healthcare surrogate designation done. One of the things that we also do here that is very important, it's called a qualified income trust, but there are times where someone might be getting ready to go into a nursing home or might already be in a nursing home. They don't qualify for Medicaid because they're over assets. And through the use of a qualified income trust, you can transfer assets, and it's usually money, into an account that's set aside specifically to allow a person to qualify, and they basically lose control of that income, and it brings them within the criteria for qualifying for Medicaid. We definitely want to be involved in preventing predatory lending. The home and community-based Medicaid waiver, that's a very complicated program, but you got a right to these things, and if you're on the waiver or you want to get on the waiver, or you're receiving services under the waiver and you've been denied services that are medically necessary, then you can contact us and talk to us about it. We can give you some advice. We can maybe help you. We can challenge a decision. As previously mentioned, people that are in nursing homes, they've got more rights than anybody. They've got a lot of extra rights. They've got federal rights under the Nursing Home Reform Act, and they've got rights under the Florida statutes, the Patient Bill of Rights. A lot of those rights have fallen to the wayside as a result of COVID and the waiver of a lot of the regulatory requirements. But nevertheless, COVID is not going to be here forever. And a lot of these regulations are going to kick back into effect. And people are very protected in a nursing home, as they should be. We have a lot of situations with folks that are homeless or they're facing homelessness. We can help direct people toward some of the resources that are available in the community. And here again, that's all about networking. The more that I know, the more people that I know, the more connected that I am to the people that are providing the services, the better I'll be able to do my job. A lot of times that's all I'm doing is taking and guiding people to where they need to go, because a lot of times they just don't know. And so that pretty much ends our presentation. So we have some questions. Do I have some time to answer those, Kathy?
Yes, you do.
What's the first one?
Okay, well, the first question is about whether or not our agency can make home visits if there's a need for that.
Well, I have. Okay, I'll tell you that right now. I have. We have very limited resources, and but we also are working with a population that's might not drive, and so if necessary, yeah, we can make home visits. Yeah, that's a good question. All right, what's the next one?
Okay, yes, and we also have another one regarding special protections. So are there any special protections in the legal risk detector to protect confidentiality of the data gathered, especially in vulnerable systems like open public Wi-Fi?
I can answer
Well,
that.
thank you.
So that's part of the FAQ. I'm just going to read you the answer so I don't miss anything, because I'm not accustomed to summarizing this type of information. I'm not a technology expert, but it says here the risk detector uses web-based software called Neota Logic Systems. Neota Logic Systems is provided as a platform as a service and is hosted by Amazon Web Services, which is the secure enterprise level cloud services platform. NLS, that's the Neota Logic System, is designed and configured at AWS and the Amazon Web Services for security, fault tolerance, high availability, and easy scaling to assure good performance at high levels of use. And it goes on to say that a lot of Neota Logic clients are also large law firms and financial institutions with high security needs, and Neota Logic meets those security needs. So I think we're in good hands with Neota Logic. If you have any specific questions that go further about that, send me an email.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thanks, Sarah. There are a few more, just a couple more questions. Someone, I believe they're asking how can they be added to, I believe, use the risk detector tool. And again, if you're able to just go to the website, it is available online, and I've shared that in the chat, and we'll be happy to share that website with you all as well again.
Anybody can.
Oh, go ahead, Paul.
Anybody can use it, and it's free, and it's easy. And we really hope that you see the value to it and that you use it. What's the next question?
Actually, we have just one more comment that someone would be interested on in a webinar based on the capacity to consent, which we have discussed as well. We have a lot of different series coming up, so I appreciate that request, because we'd be happy to include that in the series.
Yeah, that's a great question. It comes up a lot, and I got to tell you, I had to get on the phone call the other day because I had a question about whether or not someone had capacity, and I was surprised at how wrong I was. so it was nice that I was able to collaborate with a couple really smart attorneys, and we got the answer. But yeah, we look forward to providing technical assistance sessions in the future. As I said, we're going to do it once a month. Probably be toward the beginning of the month. Our first one's going to be December the 8th. We'll be sending out invitations to you guys on that, and we really hope that you participate in it. And so the first one's going to be on the injunction process for preventing exploitation, financial exploitation of vulnerable adults. And then maybe the next one can be on capacity. I think that'd be a great topic. So, well, I tell you, I think we're about out of time. And
I will,
yes, go
oh,
ahead.
sorry, Paul. I will say there was one more question way at the top, an early request. And it was briefly addressed whether or not we can assist with long-term care Medicaid. And specifically, they want to know if the client was over assets, would we be able to help with those types of cases?
Well, I tell you, it's one of the things that I know that my boss will say, yeah, we can do that. Okay. And so it's part of this grant. It's part of what we're supposed to be focusing on. And so long-term community care. And so, yes, the answer is yes. We have folks that are in this firm that are a lot more knowledgeable than I am about that. So anyway, I don't know. Did I answer the question on?
Yes, I mean, and even earlier when you mentioned that we do the qualified income trust, it came a little bit after the question, so that's a part of that as well. So we definitely be able to assist.
That's right, absolutely. All right, well, thank you again for participating in today's presentation. We'll be sending you a survey probably sometime tomorrow, but we really would appreciate your feedback on that. And we hope to see you again soon in some of our future technical assistance sessions or phone call consultations. Thank you very much.